Good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Kenna Barger, and I am the Division Director for School Improvement Instructional Programs at SREB. I want to welcome each of you to Baltimore and to the 2019 College and Career Readiness Standards Networking Conference. Please stand with me as we begin with the presentation of our colors and the singing of our national anthem. Presenting the colors are members of the Carver Vocational Technical High School Army Junior ROTC. Following the presentation of colors, please remain standing for the national anthem, performed for us today by John Page, a student from Cardinal Sheehan High School.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, oh, the ramparts we've watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say thus that star-spangled banner it wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Wow. Great job. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce Maryland State Senator Bill Ferguson. Senator Ferguson is the Vice Chair of the Budget and Taxation Committee and Chair of the Education, Business, Administration Subcommittee. He was elected to the Maryland State Senate in 2010, becoming the youngest ever elected state senator in Maryland's history. He serves Maryland's 46th legislative district, which is located entirely within Baltimore City, including neighborhoods in South Baltimore, downtown, and the Inner Harbor area, and Southeast Baltimore. Senator Ferguson is a lifelong Maryland resident and a former high school teacher. Concerns about inequities in the public education system led him to engage more deeply within the community and outside of the schoolhouse. Senator Ferguson will give us a formal welcome and some opening remarks. Let's give him a big hand.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Fightin' 46th Legislative District of Maryland. It is truly an honor and a pleasure to welcome you here to Baltimore City and to the state of Maryland for what is probably the most important issue facing my city, my state, and each one of your states. You all, for the most part, it is my understanding, are on the front lines. You are doing the real work. And I always joke that in the state legislature, we talk a lot about the work. We talk about the new policies, the new accountability, the new funding streams. But at the end of the day, we don't actually do it. It's you all that actually do it and implement it. And I think over time, what we've hopefully come to learn more is that we need more of your input, your firsthand experience to really make the policy functional and actually work. It's your voices that truly matter, and coming to conferences like this are just proof of the skill that you bring to your young people every single day, for those of you who are in classrooms or leading districts. While I'm giving brief remarks, I want to give just a bit of context for here in the city that hopefully you'll think about as you're here enjoying Baltimore, a place that certainly has its struggles, but that is the forefront of trying to figure out, what does a post-industrial city look like? What do we do? Who are we? How do we become the world-class city that we once were, that led the creation of ships that won World War II? As our population has dwindled, as our jobs have changed, we're left with this question: who are we? What can we do? And what can we do together? Just about a mile and a half down the road, there is a street called Holabird Avenue, and behind it is called Broning Highway. It was the site of what was once called the Baltimore Assembly Plant, otherwise known as the GM facility. This was a massive, massive plant, opened, I believe it was somewhere in the 1930s, mid-1930s. During World War II, it was converted to be a manufacturing hub for the war effort, and was one of the leading machine shops for parts being transported over to the Pacific and to Europe during World War II. World War II concludes. The GM facility is one of the most booming and bustling plants on the East Coast. In fact, it was the home to several different lines of GM's cars. You all know this story. Things change, technology changes. At its height, it had about 13,500 workers. These were steel workers in the Steelworkers Union. On average, workers made about $80,000 a year. They had benefits, they had pensions, they had the ability to start a career right after high school and raise a family. Move forward with time, with globalization, with changing preferences and technology. In 2005, there was a decision by GM that said, well, we've made other investments in Maryland where we're building these world-class new technology transmission systems that are being used in cars across our portfolio, and so we're going to be shuttering the facility of these 13,000 jobs. Now, by the end, it had dwindled, and it was about 1,200 jobs on the very last day, on May 9th, 2005. And the Sun article that shows, or that was interviewing folks, there was one person at the very end who said, well, until there's the wrecking ball, there's still hope. Well, the wrecking ball came, and that facility was torn down. And for 10 years, it sat vacant, 13,000 jobs. We recently celebrated a brand new reopening of this facility, and it's wonderful. They took it down to the ground. You can imagine this huge site, and it's now a new Amazon fulfillment center, which was great, and economic development, that's wonderful. And I'll never forget the moment, though, when I stood on a gangway at the opening, looking over what looked like probably 5 times the size of this room. And below us were 9-foot-high stacks of products, all being carried on a box about this big, where each one had a little robot. And this entire swarm of 9-foot product was being shifted across this field in perfect harmony. And a facility in a space that used to have 13,500 jobs now is an Amazon fulfillment center, largely staffed by robots, and has about 1,100 workers whose starting salary is roughly around $12 an hour. This isn't just the story of Baltimore. This is the story of the United States right now. And you all see it in the classroom, because if you get it right, you are what changes the future. You are what makes our future more certain, more prosperous, and filled with more opportunity. I believe there is nothing at all as important as the work that you do and that we do on the policy side to ensure that every single family in the United States has access to a career pathway that truly allows a child to maximize his or her potential and be fulfilled in life. We haven't figured out what that recipe looks like. We are in the midst of this chaos and change. There are glimmers of hope, and I'm sure in your classrooms or in your districts, you see those places where there is potential brewing. And the question now for all of us is, how do we scale it to say, the new future is here, and we are the ones responsible for fulfilling it? With that, I just want to say thank you for coming to Baltimore. This is an amazing place, and I truly, truly hope that you have an incredibly special, informative, and truly enlightening time here. And please explore the city. It's got so many incredible, rich features. So, if you miss one session, it's okay, right? Just go check it out. With that, though, thank you, and please have a wonderful, wonderful week.
Baltimore, lovely. Thank you, Senator Ferguson. It gives me great pleasure to introduce this year's Outstanding Literacy and Mathematics Award winners. SREB's Director of Literacy and Mathematics, Jason Adair, will read the awards, and SREB Vice President of School Improvement, Dale Winkler, will present them as each recipient comes to the stage.
The Outstanding Literacy Teacher Award recognizes a teacher who uses SREB's powerful literacy practices to revolutionize his or her teaching approach. SREB's powerful literacy practices empower teachers to build meaningful, literacy-based, standards-aligned assignments and enables teachers to take ownership of their own professional growth to drive more powerful outcomes for their students. This year's award is presented to Karen Brown, a career and technical education teacher from West Stanley High School in North Carolina. Karen engages her students in reading challenging texts and expressing their understanding of those texts in speech and writing. She has contributed to the development of more than 40 literacy-based assignments. Her students create authentic writing products like manuals, web pages, and pamphlets about technical careers. Karen also wrote a nationally recognized instructional module used by teachers across the country. SREB's powerful mathematics practices provide teachers with instructional strategies that help them implement college and career readiness standards, engage students in productive struggle, and build students' fluency of procedural skills while deepening their mathematical reasoning and understanding. The Outstanding Mathematics Teacher Award recognizes a teacher who has not only shifted his or her instruction using those powerful practices, but also has worked to build capacity within his or her school. This year's award is presented to Janan Green, a mathematics teacher at Sylacauga High School in Sylacauga, Alabama. Janan uses multiple strategies to re-engage students after formative assessments. Her students participate in error analysis activities to identify and avoid common math misconceptions. She uses rich mathematical tasks with multiple entry points and develops pre-planned questions to prompt student thinking. As the lead teacher for Algebra 2, Janan's principal credits her hard work with an increase in student proficiency scores on the ACT, which nearly doubled from 2017 to 2018. The Outstanding Literacy Coach Award recognizes a local coach who has supported the implementation of SREB's powerful literacy practices by observing classrooms, providing effective feedback, and assisting teachers and principals to use SREB's research-based literacy tools and strategies. He or she has also completed the SREB Local Trainer Certification process. This year's award is presented to Barbara Goggins from Georgetown County School District in South Carolina. Barbara teaches a weekly reading endorsement course that shows teachers in her district how to create and implement literacy-based assignments. With her support, teachers incorporate the powerful literacy practice into assignments that address core content knowledge in their disciplines. She also facilitates principal trainings and meets with principals to discuss teachers' progress with implementing literacy-based assignments. The Outstanding Mathematics Coach Award recognizes a local coach who has supported implementation of SREB's powerful mathematics practices by observing classrooms, providing effective feedback, and assisting teachers and principals in using these research-based mathematics tools and strategies. He or she has also completed the SREB Local Trainer Certification process. This year's award is presented to Sarah Potter from Caesar Rodney School District in Delaware. Sarah regularly meets with teachers to analyze student work, identify misconceptions, and develop re-engagement lessons to address those misconceptions. Sarah delivers professional development at the school and district level. She collaborates and supports teachers during lesson planning and provides feedback during and after lessons based on evidence collected using SREB's powerful math practices. At the heart of everything Sarah does is her desire and belief that all students can learn. Sarah exemplifies a growth mindset for students and teachers. The Outstanding Elementary School Award recognizes an elementary school in which principal and teachers embrace SREB's powerful practices. The principal helps spread the research-based strategies to all teachers. The teachers in the school are not only implementing the research-based tools and strategies, but have also seen improvement in student achievement. This year's award goes to Millwood Elementary School in Sumter School District, South Carolina, under the leadership of Principal Cornelius Leach. Dr. Leach attended every SREB workshop for 3 years as a literacy local trainer, several of which he co-facilitated. He instilled a culture of collaboration at Millwood. Every Tuesday is Collaborative Tuesday, a time for teachers to participate in literacy and math professional development. Each grade level team also meets daily during planning to create literacy assignments, reflect on practices, and analyze student work. The Outstanding Secondary School Award recognizes a middle or high school in which the principal and teachers embrace SREB's powerful literacy and math practices. The principal helps spread research-based strategies to all teachers. The teachers in the school are not only implementing these research-based tools and strategies, but also have seen improvement in student achievement. This year's award goes to Broken Arrow School District, Oklahoma, under the leadership of Principal Elizabeth Burns. Here to accept the award is Kimberly Garrett, Director of High School Academies. Over the past 2 years, school leaders and teachers at Broken Arrow High School have embedded SREB's powerful literacy and math practices into the culture of the school. The principal attends professional development workshops, learning alongside her teachers. Teachers regularly meet in professional learning communities to design lessons, analyze student work, and discuss instructional strategies. The Outstanding District Award recognizes a district that uses SREB's powerful literacy and mathematics practices at the school and district level to revolutionize teaching and learning. Teachers across the district implement the research-based tools and strategies, and district leaders play a key role in supporting teachers as they collaborate with other teachers to spread the word. The district sees improvement in student achievement in math, literacy, and other disciplines. This year's award goes to Ouachita Parish School District in Louisiana under the leadership of Superintendent Don Coker. Every literacy and math teacher in the district has been trained to use the research-based tools and strategies to engage students in deep learning and critical thinking. Through the support of district personnel like Tammy Whitlock and Donna Patton, both of whom are SREB certified local trainers, Ouachita Parish has made these practices part of the culture of the district and witnessed an increase in student achievement. The district has designed and implemented a strategic plan to build capacity in teachers and leaders to sustain the powerful literacy and math practices in every secondary school. SREB would also like to recognize the outstanding educators who have dedicated themselves to supporting teachers as they implement and spread powerful literacy and math practices. Each local trainer being honored today has completed a certification process that includes helping teachers implement research-based literacy and mathematics tools and strategies, analyze student work from rigorous grade-level assignments, provide non-evaluative feedback to teachers and principals on how to refine instructional practices, and share research-based literacy and mathematics tools and strategies with other teachers in their schools and districts. If you are an SREB certified local trainer, please stand. Congratulations to the 2019 SREB LDC and MDC certified local trainers.
Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce our opening keynote speaker. Rodney Flowers, founder and president of Inspirational Endeavors, LLC, inspires, motivates, and encourages others to never give up, but instead reach for their hopes and dreams with earnest expectations, regardless of their limitations or challenges. After a traumatic high school football injury, Rodney was paralyzed, incapacitated, and bound to the confines of a wheelchair. He was told his prognosis for recovery was unfavorable. He spent 18 long, grueling years regaining his ability to walk and making a positive impact on the world. Today, Rodney is an international Amazon best-selling author, keynote speaker, CEO, entrepreneur, transformational leader, and resilience trainer. As an internationally respected writer and thought leader, Rodney is dedicated, tenacious, and fully committed to being a change agent for overcoming life's adversities and maximizing individual achievement and success. Please help me welcome Rodney Flowers to the stage.
Thank you. How many of you remember when you were in grade school? Oh, that's too long ago for some of you? Come on, how many of you remember when you were in grade school? Thank you. How many of you remember that one teacher you thought was the greatest teacher in the world? How many? He or she always had the perfect snacks, was funny, made you feel good when you entered their classroom. Any of you remember that? And the greatest benefit of all was whenever you left their classroom, you felt like you actually learned something. Any of you have a teacher like that? Thank you. So what's the difference or the game changer between the greatest teachers in the world and the worst teachers in the world? Using one word to describe the difference. What's the difference between the greatest teachers and the worst teachers? Anybody? What is it? Passion. Anything else? Okay, hold on. Here's what I want to do. Hold on. I want to record your answers up here on the flip chart. Is it okay if I record your answers up on the flip chart? All right, thank you. I need a volunteer. Who would like to be my volunteer? You be my volunteer? What's your name? What's your name? Donna. Would you like to be my volunteer? Come on up. Can you please give Donna a hand as she comes up? Thank you. Now, Donna, in a second, I'm going to select members of the audience to shout out one word to describe the difference between the greatest teachers in the world and the worst teachers in the world, okay? What I would like you to do is record their answers up here on the flip chart using multiple colors. Can you do that for me, please?
Record their answers using multiple colors.
Yes.
I can do it.
You can do that? Awesome. Thank you. All right, now, who has a really good word to describe the difference between the great teachers and the worst teachers? Go ahead. Love. Can we put love on the board? Anything else? Inspiring. Very good. Results. Results driven or just results? Just results? Outcomes. Okay. All right. Relationships. I love that. Vision. Very good. Go ahead. Authenticity? Authenticity. Very good. Passion. A little challenging for you there, huh? What else? Dedication. What's that? I can't hear you. Care. Very good. Adaptive. What about this word? Resilient. One more. Forgiving. All right. I think we have a pretty good list. Are you guys comfortable with this list? Hello, yes? Hello, yes? All right. Thank you. All right. Please give Donna a hand as she for helping us out. Thank you. Thank you, Donna. Now, before we get started today, of all the words that we have up here on this list, there's one particular word that we're going to focus on today. And that word is resilience. What's the word? Resilience. What's the word? Resilience. Thank you. Now, before I get started, I would just like to say thank you for allowing me to be the opening keynote at this year's SREB event. I am truly delighted to be here and have the opportunity to serve. I realize that there are other things that you could have chosen to spend your time on. So I just want to thank and acknowledge all of you for being here. My name is Rodney Flowers, and I am a 3-time international best-selling author, keynote speaker, and resilience trainer. And my claim to fame is I've developed a process that I've used in my books, trainings, and seminars that helps people change the game and produce greater results in their personal and business life. And what I would like to do with you today is have a conversation about how to engage, connect, and cause a positive impact in the lives of the individuals you serve. And during that conversation, I plan to share a few lessons from my own experience that will drive participation and increase interest from the lives of the individuals you serve, and at the same time, achieve the objectives that you set for them in the classroom. How does that sound? Is that okay? Hello, yes? All right, is it okay if I share some of my own experiences? Hello, yes? All right, thank you. Next slide, please. Next slide. There we go. My journey started in the southeastern parts of Lumberton, actually North Carolina, in a little town called Rayford, where I was raised by my grandmother. Well, I got some whole county folks in here. Oh, we're going to have a good time today. We're going to have a really, really good time. Very good. Wow. At the age of 9, I moved to Lumberton, North Carolina, to live with my mom and my stepdad. And a few years later, I fell in love with the game of football. I became a star football player for Lumberton Senior High School. And during the first game of my sophomore year, I was lined up on the right side of the field. It was the third quarter, the start of the third quarter. And as the ball was kicked off, I ran down the field as fast as I could. And as I approached my opponent's 40-yard line, I noticed the kick returner heading towards my side of the field. It felt like I was running like the wind until I made contact with the runner. Boom! I felt the runner go down. I too went down. But something didn't feel right about this hit. It felt like all of the energy and power literally jumped out of my body. I fell to the ground, unable to brace myself. And then I realized I could no longer feel any of my extremities. I tried to get up. Confessionally, my brain started repeatedly going through the process of getting up, but my body wasn't responding. I couldn't get up. It was a game-changing moment. I heard people shouting and applauding. My best friend and teammate ran over celebrating and said, "Good hit, man. That's what I'm talking about. Good hit." But then he realized something was wrong. He reached down to help me, but before he had a chance to grab me, the coaches and trainers stopped him and yelled, "Don't touch him. Don't move him. He could be hurt badly." I began to frantic as I recognized the look of panic and fear on the faces of the coaches and trainers who came to my aid. The coaches attempted to calm me down, but reality began to set in and tears poured down my face as I came to the fact that regardless of how much I tried, my head was the only functional body part I could move and feel. A few moments later, my head, arms, legs, and chest were strapped down to a stretcher. I was loaded into the ambulance and transported to the local hospital ER. The medical staff used gigantic pruning shears to cut away my face mask, shoulder pads, and the remainder of my gear to begin their evaluation. Unable to get a response from any of my extremities, they began cutting the bottom of my feet to the point of bleeding to see if they can get a response. But there was no response. It was determined that my injury was too severe to treat at the local medical center. So I was transported by helicopter to Duke University Trauma Center, where immediately they began to evaluate me and execute multiple scans, x-rays, and exams. And then early the next morning, just as the sun was beginning to shine through the window of the intensive care unit, a team of neurologists visited my bedside to pass along my diagnosis. My diagnosis was quadriplegia. I was completely paralyzed. I had no movement or sensation in any of my extremities. And the doctor said I had a 92% chance of remaining that way for the rest of my life. And although the doctors didn't expect much of a recovery from me, it was still prescribed that I attend physical therapy. And over time, I worked with multiple physical therapists. And it didn't matter whether I was in a hospital or a rehabilitation facility. They would roll me into their office, and before they would get started with their evaluation, they would all ask me, the same question. What is your goal and objective for attending these therapy sessions? And every time I will reply, I want to walk out of this hospital or rehabilitation facility, whatever it was. And it was kind of funny because every time I would say I want to walk again, I would get this contradicting look like, dude, you can't squeeze 2 fingers to pick up a napkin. How in the hell do you think you're going to walk again? They would tell me to revisit my objectives and select smaller, achievable goals. How many of you ever had someone downgrade your goals? Thank you. The truth of the matter is, they didn't believe it was possible for me to walk again. And they didn't believe it because their experience would not allow them to comprehend what was possible given the circumstances. They would go to the higher-ups, which were the doctors, and the doctors would say, no, you shouldn't spend time working on walking. The probability is too low. Focus on protocol, which is to teach him how to live independently from the confines of a wheelchair. So what did I do? Absolutely nothing. I went along with what they suggested. I mean, really, what else could I do? I couldn't strong arm nobody. I couldn't move my body or make anyone do anything. I felt helpless. How many of you ever felt helpless? Thank you. However, 10 months after my accident, things began to change. And the game changer was because of this woman right here. Next slide. This is Pearl. I met Pearl in the spring of 1994. She became my primary physical therapist after I was discharged from Duke Medical Center. And my evaluation with Pearl started out just like all the other evaluations I had previously. Who can tell me how the evaluation started? She asked me what my goals were. Thank you. Who can tell me what my response was? To walk again. Thank you. Now, at the time, I was a sophomore in high school. So I told Pearl my goal was to walk across the stage to receive my diploma. Pearl's response was, when are you scheduled to graduate? I replied, June of 1996. And that's when she said, okay, we have a lot of work ahead of us. And we only have 2 years to get your butt up and out of that chair. And that was the game-changing moment. Afterwards, I completed thousands upon thousands of hours of intense physical therapy with Pearl. Next slide, please. Here's a picture of Pearl and I as I take my first steps on the treadmill since my accident. Next slide. And this picture here is Pearl and I after taking steps across the stage to receive my diploma. Thank you. Thank you. So how is it Pearl was able to get me into the end zone and score one of the biggest goals of my life by taking steps across the stage that evening? I believe the game-changing difference between the previous therapist and Pearl is this one word. Next slide. Resilience. You see, Pearl possessed what I call the 3 pillars of game-changer mentality. Next slide. Creative mindset, relentlessness, and resilience. Next slide. And there were 3 things that Pearl did. How many things? 3 things that Pearl did, thank you, that separated her from others. The first thing was she didn't label or view me or any of the individuals that she worked with as patients. You see, when we label people, whether we label them as students, patients, disabled, or handicapped, we tend to behave towards them based on the limitations within the label. And what happens is it creates an us versus them mentality, which prevents collaboration and hinders inclusion. But not with Pearl. Pearl didn't judge or view me through the lens of my medical file. Instead, she viewed me as the human being that I am. And when I rode into her office, I rode in with a clean slate, capable of accomplishing anything, regardless of what was written on paper. The second thing was, Pearl was willing to lose the ego and be vulnerable with me. She created a relationship with me. And third, she created an environment where she can teach and be taught. And I'm going to be honest with you. Neither one of us knew how we were going to accomplish what we set out to accomplish 2 years prior to my graduation date. We knew it wasn't going to be protocol or anything that the doctors or management prescribed. Pearl had never facilitated such an extreme recovery. And me, well, I was just desperate. Pearl and I started out on this journey, and 2 years later, we produced that. Next slide. That's me taking steps across the stage to receive my diploma. And her impact on me did not stop there. Her energy and commitment to teach and be taught, her willingness to lose the ego and get rid of the us versus them mentality and foster collaboration and inclusion, created a pearl of resilience. Next slide. And as I stand on this stage today, having been told that I was going to be incapacitated and bound to the confines of a wheelchair for the rest of my life, the reason I'm able to stand here is because I had a pearl in my life. And as I think about the students in schools of today, those who sit in your classrooms, who look up to you, who sometimes talk back to you, who don't always understand you, those who come from all kinds of different backgrounds, those you feel haven't been raised properly, and those you feel are just spoiled rotten. When I think about these individuals and what's necessary for them to become the leaders of tomorrow, it isn't only curriculum. It isn't only discipline. It isn't only leadership, guidance, and direction. I've learned from my own experience, next slide please, that what they all need is a pearl in their life. And what separates a pearl from all the rest of the teachers, principals, counselors, doctors, or therapists is this one word: resilience. You see, I believe many of the worst teachers, principals, counselors, doctors, or parents were once great teachers, great principals, great counselors, great doctors, great parents. But somewhere along the journey, they ran out of resilience. Perhaps many of you are one more regulation away from running out of resilience, or one more child talking back to you away from running out of resilience, or teaching one more lesson of curriculum you know isn't going to benefit your class in the long run, away from running out of resilience. I know what that's like. I almost ran out of resilience several times. One of the most memorable was not long after I was discharged from the hospital. One day, after finally settling into my electric wheelchair, I decided to take a stroll just to relieve myself of all the frustration from all the medical requirements and stuff my family and I had to go through just to get me out of bed every morning. I drove my wheelchair to a busy street nearby and contemplated rolling out in the middle of the street when one of those 18-wheelers came roaring through. And the only thing that stopped me was the fact that executing this plan would take away all possibility of recovery and was a sure way to lose the game and become defeated by the effects of this injury. And there was a spark of energy within me that would not stand for that. And in that moment, what mattered to me more than winning, what mattered to me more than recovery, what mattered to me more than walking again, what mattered to me more than any challenge or difficulty I was experiencing was never giving up on the goal. And instead of being the guy who gives up, who runs out of resilience in the heat of adversity, I was going to be the man who stood for figuring things out with my mind, changing the game, and remaining resilient in the pursuit for greatness. And as you prepare yourself and your curriculums, plans, lessons, and classrooms for the upcoming school year, I invite you to ask yourself these two questions. What matters to you more than anything that you're currently dealing with? And the second question is, what do you stand for? And as a matter of fact, I believe that there's no time like the present. I would like for you to take out pen and paper. If you don't have pen and paper, grab your cell phone, open up your email, and in the subject line of the email, or at the top of the piece of paper, I want you to write, as I prepare myself for the upcoming school year. And in the body of the email, or underneath the subject line on the piece of paper, I want you to write these two questions. And what I want to do is give you 1 minute to think about that. What matters more to you? Is it curriculum? Is it leadership? Is it being in control? Or is it helping someone like me who didn't have much of an opportunity of walking again, or graduating, or standing on a stage like this? What matters more to you? And then what do you stand for? Do you stand for being right? Or do you stand for collaboration? What do you stand for? Take a minute. About 45 more seconds. 15 more seconds. And as our time together comes to a close, I would like for you to think about the message that you just heard. And write down 3 things. Let's keep the music going, please. 3 things that you're taking away. 3 takeaways from today's lesson. Take a minute. 3 things, 3 takeaways. And as you wrap up writing down your 3 things, what are 3 things you plan to do differently in the next 7 days as an instructor, as a principal, as a teacher, as an educator? 3 things you plan to do different in the next 7 days. And then 3 things you plan to do differently in the next 30 days. My mentor always told me that whatever you learn, you have the right to teach. So I want you to think about 3 people that you would like to share what you've just experienced with. Your takeaways, things perhaps that you want to do differently. 3 people that you would like to share that with. 3 people that you would refer this talk to. It's not for me. I'm not going to take anything from you. But it's for you. I believe in sharing knowledge, sharing information. They say it's strength in people. I think it's strength in sharing among the people. Now, before I go, is there anyone that would like to share? I'm not going to make you share, but if you would like to share, if you've experienced something that's burning, you feel like you want to share with someone or share with the audience. If you don't want to, it's okay. But if there's one that would like to share, okay, come on up. Please give her a hand as she comes forward. Do you have a microphone? Do you have a microphone for her? Oh, okay. Go ahead, girl. What's your name?
Genevieve.
Genevieve? Please give Genevieve a hand. Thank you.
My 3 takeaways: never give up, never lose your resilience, and change the game if the game ain't working.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So if anyone you know, if you or anyone you know would like to talk about where they are and how to change the game and produce greater results in their life or their business, I've opened up my calendar for the first 50 people. I'm a pretty busy guy, but the first 50 people that can click on that link, set up an appointment with me free of charge. We'll take a look at what's going on with you, and we'll see how I can be of service to you. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Let's give it up one more time. Yeah? That was awesome. Thank you, Rodney. That was so inspiring. Our 2019 networking conference theme is Powerful Practices That Ignite Student Interest and Engagement. It was a perfect testament to that theme. Over the next few days, you will learn innovative, proven strategies to get students literacy and math ready for college and careers. You will hear inspiring stories from teachers, coaches, school and district leaders as they share how they have engaged every student in using these powerful practices. In the breakout sessions, you will dive deeply into how SREB's powerful literacy and mathematics practices provide an essential foundation for rigorous instruction. Practices that help improve how teachers teach students and how they learn. Some sessions focus on teachers' practices, while others concentrate on the role of school leaders. Sessions are tailored for those new to SREB's powerful practices, as well as veterans. Throughout the conference, you will find many opportunities to network with other educators during regular sessions and breaks. I encourage you to attend the networking session tomorrow, Tuesday, at 3:30 in the Holiday Ballroom of the Hilton. During this session, you'll engage in rich conversations with other educators around current topics impacting teaching and learning in K-12 schools. Rodney Flowers will also be there selling and signing books. Check out the conference app or page 2 of the conference program online to find information on how to submit conference evaluations, information on certificates of participation, how to interact with other participants using SREB's social media, and other useful information. Coffee and light pastries will be served Tuesday and Wednesday mornings in the Key Ballroom of the Hilton. Lunch tomorrow, Tuesday, will also be provided in the same location. See the conference schedule in the app or on page 2 of the program for specifics. The first round of sessions begins at 2:15, so go forth and have a great conference.